Hello everyone, we're going to be potting with a New Zealand long fibered sphagnum moss, which is kind of tricky, but the plants grow amazing in it, so it's worth it. So we're going to start with our pot. We use little 3-inch pots temporarily, but whatever pot you have, you want to start by filling the bottom of the pot with some of the moss, and you want it to be somewhat dense on the bottom so that it will retain the water. You want to make sure that any drainage holes you have, that the moss is visible through there. So I'm adding some moss in the bottom of the pot, and I'm just gonna pack it down, and you see how it's coming through all of the little drainage holes, so I know that that's gonna suck up the water. So we're gonna fill it up about halfway. So I have about halfway there. This next layer that I add is not densely packed. If you pack it too densely, these plants, Venus flytraps, will not do well in it. So you just want it moderately dense. In the end, it's going to feel like sponge cake a little bit. And you can adjust this as you go along. So we have our plant here. This is a BCP Z11. And you want to pick it up, hold it, if you're right-handed, with your right hand. Pull the traps back with your left hand. And kind of hold them gently back. Be careful with them. Some of them, like dentate, are a little harder to pull back, so be careful with them. Hold it there. Take some moss in your right hand, and I make kind of a barrel roll here because I'm going to be wrapping it around like a taco on here onto the rhizome. So I'm going to take this barrel roll and I'm going to press it against the rhizome, and I'm going to work it around and not let go of the traps until it's all the way around. And I drop this, and then I kind of lock it. Now we're going to do one more of those. So what it is like a double taco. They're kind of eating one another, the two tacos. Pull out any of the debris from the moss that's there. So one more of those. There's your second taco. Now it's ready to place in the pot. And this takes some getting used to, just handling the moss. It comes with time. So I can already tell looking in there that I've got too much on here for here. If I set it in there, you shouldn't be jamming it in there. If you set it on here, it should be just resting on there and level with the pot or even a little bit below. It's obviously way too much, so I'm going to take some out of the pot that I have. There's our cat in the background, bear cat. Still too much in there. Okay, so now when I put it in there, I rest it in there, and it's sitting almost level. So now I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the spots. And again, you want to fill in the spots, but not too densely. You should never hear a squeak. Here's an example. That's bad. That means you're jamming it in there. No good. I'm going to repot this later, so don't worry about that. I'll take it out of there. That's too dense right there. And you go around, fill in the spots, and you can gently pick up the traps. And the most important part here is making sure that all of the rhizome is covered. Because even though you made the double tacos, it can release when you sit it in there, even if you're holding around it the whole time. So you want to, your very last step, and as you go along, is to always make sure that the rhizome is covered. It'd be kind of like doing open heart surgery and leaving the heart exposed. You just don't want to do that, obviously. So we're moving around here, filling around the rhizome. You see, this is drier moss. For this part of potting, I actually grab some moister moss. This one's actually sopping wet because it tends to just stick and stay where you put it. So I use this usually actually for filling in, and I even kind of pull and break it off just so that it fits whatever spot I want. And also, you see there's different kinds. There's these long stringy kinds and these nice puffy kinds. For the filling in process, puffy kinds are the best. So choosing puffy kinds, going around and filling in the spots. And it doesn't have to be perfect at all. It doesn't have to be a completely even surface, but it should be decently even. The most important thing is to have that nice density. So now I've filled it in mostly here, and what I want to do now is do a last check. I want to go around and gently pick up the resin. You want to press down and make sure in there that there's no hole next to the rhizome. There's nowhere where you're finger just sinks and that everything's pressed in there, but also that none of these baby traps or traps are underground. So I found a little spot there that could use a little more moss. Okay, so 360 around it, looking good. My last step is to spray it down, get the little bits and debris off of the top. And ta-da! You have a nicely potted Venus flytrap. It should be, you press on it, there should be some springiness to it. It shouldn't be like a brick. And you should have all of your traps nicely even laying out here with no rhizome showing but no traps underground.